It's almost 20 years now. Mas Platon y Menos Prozac first in Spain appeared in 2000, and it was immediately became #1 book. I remember I went home from doing some media here. We did some media work in Madrid, and then there was the summertime, was very nice. And then I went home, I became very busy, and 2 weeks later you sent me a fax with the listing, and it was #1. So immediately it must have fulfilled a need which people had. Some people needed philosophy. It was not there for them, and La filosofia para la vida cotidiana was missing, and then we made it possible for people to utilize philosophy in their lives. So as you say, it's not only in Latin America, but it went worldwide. It became a worldwide bestseller. There's no day in which we do not need philosophy. And as you know, the world goes up and down, and sometimes everything is calm, and now it's becoming more challenging again. We have many crises on the horizon, problems, not only in Spain, but in many parts of the world. It's becoming dangerous again. So that's when philosophy is the most needed. When we are the closest to crisis, to violence, to bad things, then people need to take a step back from the brink and reflect more carefully to find a good path forward. Mas Platon is focused mostly on Western philosophy, because to introduce practical philosophy to people, it's good to use ideas, at least from philosophers they know, or most people know the name. So it was easier for us to introduce this way of philosophizing through a Western medium. So I wrote El Poder del Tao because I wanted to remind Westerners of the importance of Chinese philosophy and how powerful it really is for everyday life. I've used it myself for 50 years, and it never gave me bad advice. Always something good. You don't necessarily always follow, but the advice itself is always good. This is a different kind of book, I think, okay? It's also a bigger, fatter book, but it's a different book because this book is more about the philosophy of globalization, the extremes, los extremos. And we have many, many extremes, and they're getting worse. So every axis you have political extremes, economic extremes, social extremes, and religious extremes, and these extremes produce conflict. So we have to solve not only our personal conflicts and dilemmas, but we also collectively need to find a way to reduce the effects of these extremists in the world. And that's the goal of this book, to show people the middle way, okay, el término medio. People feel very powerless because everything is so big. We're confronted by big government, big industry, and now we have the FANG. In the States we call it the FANG: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, the FANG. FANG is a big tooth, yeah? So we have to defang. How do you defang the FANG? Is not easy. So everything is big, and the individual feels very small and powerless. I think that would be a huge mistake, because the most successful things still happen from the grassroots. So my answer to you is that everybody has power to do something immediately in their environments, immediately with their peers, their colleagues, and from the grassroots, great things can come to disempower the most powerful. How to be happy? We don't have to teach children how to be happy. We have to teach children many things. It's a big challenge to bring up a child, yes, to educate a child. But one thing we never have to teach them is how to be happy. Why? Because they're already happy. Okay, in the process of learning so many other things, they become unhappy. But our natural state is actually one of happiness, of curiosity, of wonder, of awe, of amazement at the world. And it's only just these big wheels, that are crushing people to make them unhappy. That happiness comes automatically from being a fresh mind, not being carved into a particular shape. So the uncarved block is perfect in Chinese philosophy because it contains every other possibility. It has infinite possibility, because if it's not carved, you can carve it into any shape. So if you wake up in the morning and you see your life as an uncarved block, your life is full of possibility. And if you wake up and you feel like your life is full of possibility, you're happy. Yes? Because there's so many good things that can happen. So the kind of success that ancient philosophers have taught, and that's still relevant for everybody today, is a success that's not depending on external circumstances, is not depending on external rewards or external recognition. And the ABCs, they all teach this. Aristotle's talking about fulfillment. We don't have an exact word in English or probably in Spanish for eudaimonia, as the Greek idea is not happiness, it's fulfillment. It means you are full of success inside from doing something well. So everybody has some ability to do something well. And unfortunately in our society we are ranking people according to the price we put on their talent. So of course people want to go for the higher valued prize. But that means we devalue people who do certain things very well, which are essential. When people say they're depressed, for example, they often mean they're unhappy. Not necessarily clinically depressed, just unhappy. But if we are going to depend on formulations, drugs and escape mechanisms and other kinds of things to change our brain chemistry, this is not a natural way. Maybe at times is necessary, and I'm not, by the way, criticizing good medical science. We've almost doubled life expectancy. So what most people are doing are consuming treatments, and it's not always necessary, yes? Philosophy, you don't need a prescription. The practices of philosophy are actually going to lead to indestructible happiness. And the Buddhist idea, which is not a religion for me, it's a beautiful philosophical operating system for the human being, and this leads to a kind of indestructible happiness. You don't have to renew the prescription, you don't have to pay for it, you just have to invest your consciousness, and then it will lead to great results. This many people have experienced. I'm not trying to sell this. You can do it at home. It's very safe. Try it. It works.